Hi there, and thanks for watching. This will be about standard deviation. Just to go through some main points before we get into an example here, we'll just look at what it means. So standard deviation is the measure of dispersion that describes how much variation there is among all data values in a set of data. If we look at this point here, a low standard of deviation means the data is close to the mean. And just the opposite to that, a high standard deviation means most of the data is scattered from the mean. To find standard deviation, we're going to find the mean first and then go from there. So when we're working with values, if we get a negative value, this is going to tell you that the data you're looking at is below the mean. Whereas if you get a positive value, the data that you're looking at is above the mean. So we're going to be dealing with some positives and negative numbers, and we're going to square them so that everything that we're dealing with is in the positive. So let's move to the first part. We're going to be looking at determining the mean and standard of deviation. So looking at standard deviation, we need the mean first. So to get the mean, we're going to take all the values that we're dealing with, in this case, the 10 math scores, and we're going to divide them by 10. And we get a mean of 67. From there, we're going to use the mean to help us get a little closer to that standard deviation. And to get a little closer, we're going to need to do a little bit of work. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to fill this chart in. So you can see on the left, these are all your scores, and on the bottom, number of terms is 10. And in the middle, this is where you're going to take X will be your score, the X with the bar on top, that's your mean. You're going to go 53 minus your mean, in this case 67, and then you'll get a value here. So that value will be negative 14. And then all you're going to do is take all that and square it. So you should have negative 14 squared, which is 196. Okay, so then you're going to go through and do that. So please take a minute, pause the video if you need to, and complete this chart. Okay, so now that you've completed the chart, let's have a look at it. So we have, as mentioned, the negative 14 squared became the 196. So any value that you ended up with in this column, all you had to do was square it so that you came up with these values. And now if we're looking at the sum of these values, we add them all up and we get a value of 1,852. So that's what this little sigma meant. It meant to add them all up. Okay, so we're adding all those terms. So now we know that the mean is 67, and so far the sum of all these terms is 1,852. So we need to go a step further. We're going to use this data and our equation for standard deviation, which you can see is symbolized by that symbol. So then we're going to take the sum of the squares of the deviations from the mean. That's the 1,852. This is the sum, so all of these are added up, of the deviations. So the deviations came from here, from the mean. So 53 minus 67, that meant that this score was 14 away towards the negative side from the 67, which was the mean. Okay, so now we just put into numbers what the words say. So we're going to take sum of squares of deviations from the mean. So we have that value of 1,852, divide that by the number of terms, which is 10, and take the square root of it. And we get about 13.6088 in some repeating decimal. Okay, thank you for watching.